I'm Mark, a 37-year-old architect. From the outside, my life looks like the epitome of suburban bliss. My wife, Andrea, a vibrant and successful real estate agent, and I have been married for 12 years. We live in a quaint, well-kept home in a neighborhood where everyone knows each other's names. Our life was a series of predictable routines: morning coffee, work, dinner together, and weekends filled with home improvement projects or social gatherings. Andrea is the kind of person who lights up a room with her smile, always the first to volunteer for community events and the last to leave a party. She's the glue that holds our social circle together, and I've always admired her for that. However, beneath this perfect veneer, I've been wrestling with a part of myself I've kept hidden, even from her. As we sit down for dinner, Andrea talks about her day, her voice full of enthusiasm. She describes how she managed to sell a house that had been on the market for months, her words painting a picture of triumph and joy. I nod, smile, and respond, but my mind is elsewhere, contemplating the secret I've been carrying. It's not just any secret. It's the kind that could unravel everything we've built. You see, for the past year, I've been involved in something that, if Andrea found out, would shatter her world. It started innocently enough, a project at work that required late nights and long hours. But those late nights turned into something more, something I never anticipated. There's this woman, Elise, from the office. She's smart, driven, and shares my passion for architecture. Our late-night sessions turned into dinners, then drinks, and before I knew it, we were sharing more than just professional interests. The connection was electric, the kind that makes you feel alive in ways you hadn't in years. But it was wrong, so wrong, and yet I couldn't pull myself away. Now, as Andrea talks about the community bake sale she's organizing, all I can think about is the last time Elise and I were together. The way her touch felt like a forbidden thrill. The way we whispered promises we knew we couldn't keep. I look at Andrea, her eyes bright with the excitement of her day, and a wave of guilt washes over me. Here she is planning our future, while I'm stuck in the past, or rather, in a present that feels like a betrayal. The secret isn't just about Elise. It's about the part of me that's been longing for something different, something more. It's about the fear that maybe, just maybe, this life of suburban bliss isn't enough for me. And as I sit there, nodding along to Andrea's plans for our next home renovation, I realize that this secret, this hidden part of myself, might just be the catalyst for change, for better or worse. What will happen when Andrea finds out? How will this revelation alter the course of our lives? But the next day, I'm at work, trying to focus on the design of a new residential complex. The lines and angles of the blueprint blur as my phone buzzes, breaking my concentration. It's Aaron, an old college friend who recently moved back into town. His voice, full of that familiar, easy charm, echoes through the phone. "Hey, Mark, how about we catch up over lunch?" My treat. I agree, partly because I need a break from the guilt that's been shadowing me, and partly because Aaron's adventurous spirit always made life feel less mundane. We meet at a local diner, the kind with checkered tablecloths and the smell of grease hanging in the air. Aaron looks the same, yet different. His hair a bit longer, his smile a bit wider, his eyes holding stories of places I've never been. Over burgers and beers, we dive into the past, laughing about college pranks and the wild nights we spent chasing dreams. Aaron's tales of his travels are vivid, his voice animated, his eyes bright with life. He talks about the mountains he's climbed, the cultures he's immersed himself in, and the freedom he's found in living without the constraints of a settled life. His energy is infectious, and I find myself drawn to it, yearning for a taste of that freedom. As the afternoon turns into evening, our conversation drifts into more personal territory. Aaron shares his journey of self-discovery, his openness about his sexuality, something I've never had the courage to explore openly. His words resonate with me, stirring something deep within. He speaks of love, of connection, of the thrill of living authentically. I listen, my heart pounding with a mix of envy and confusion. The diner grows quieter, the clatter of dishes fading into the background as Aaron leans in, his voice lowering. "You know, Mark, life's too short to live it half-heartedly," he says, his gaze intense. I nod, feeling the weight of his words, the truth in them slicing through my carefully constructed facade. As we part ways, Aaron gives me a hug that lingers a bit too long, a touch that sends an unexpected thrill through me. It's not just the warmth of his embrace. It's the unspoken understanding, the silent acknowledgement of desires I've buried deep. Walking back to my car, I'm left with these new, confusing feelings. Aaron's touch, so different from Andrea's, so charged with a different kind of electricity, has left me questioning everything. The thrill of the forbidden, the allure of the unexplored, it's all there, swirling in my mind like the last dregs of our beers. What will I do with these feelings? How will they change the course of my life, my marriage? The questions hang heavy in the air, as tangible as the scent of the diner still clinging to my clothes. Weeks pass, and Aaron and I meet more frequently. Our friendship deepens, but so does my internal conflict. One evening, after a particularly heavy drinking session at a local bar, Aaron suggests we go back to his place. The night is a blur of laughter, confessions, and then, unexpectedly, a kiss. It's not just any kiss. It's charged with years of suppressed desire, a moment that feels like both a betrayal and a revelation. The morning after, I wake up in Aaron's bed, the reality of what happened crashing down on me. The guilt is immediate and overwhelming. I've cheated on Andrea, but not in the way anyone would expect. I've crossed a line I never thought I would, not with another man. The room is silent except for the soft hum of the air conditioner, and the light filtering through the blinds casts long shadows across the floor. I feel like I'm in a different world, one where the rules I've lived by no longer apply. I slip out of bed, careful not to wake Aaron, who lies there, his chest rising and falling with the rhythm of sleep. My clothes are scattered around the room, a testament to the night's abandon. As I dress, my mind races with what this means for my marriage, for my identity. The drive home is a haze. The streets are quiet, the early morning light casting a soft glow over the town. My thoughts are a storm, swirling with confusion and guilt. I replay the kiss, the touch, the intimacy. It wasn't just physical. It was an emotional connection I hadn't anticipated. I parked the car in the driveway, the familiar sight of our home offering no comfort. Andrea's car is there, a reminder of the life I'm about to walk back into. I sit in the car, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to gather myself. How can I face her after what I've done? Inside, the house is still, Andrea asleep upstairs. I make coffee, the routine action grounding me momentarily. But as I sit at the kitchen table, the mug warming my hands, the enormity of my actions hits me again. I think about Aaron, his openness, his freedom. He lives his life with such authenticity, something I've envied and now, in some twisted way, experienced. But at what cost? The day drags on. I go through the motions at work, but my mind is elsewhere. Every interaction feels like a performance, every smile forced. I'm haunted by the memory of Aaron's touch, the way it felt like a key unlocking parts of me I've kept hidden. That evening, Andrea and I have dinner. She's talking about her day, her voice a melody of joy and enthusiasm, but I'm barely listening. My mind is on the secret, on the kiss, on the line I've crossed. "Mark, are you okay?" Andrea's voice pulls me back. Her concern is palpable, and it stabs at my guilt. Yet just tired, I lie, the words tasting bitter. As we clean up, I decide I need to talk to someone. Not to confess, but to understand. I call Aaron, my heart pounding. He answers with that easy charm. "Hey Mark, what's up? Can we meet?" "I need to talk," I say, my voice low, hoping Andrea doesn't overhear. "Sure, where?" "The park by the lake," I suggest, a place where we can talk without being too close. At the park, Aaron's there, his presence both comforting and unsettling. We sit on a bench, the water's gentle lapping, the only sound for a moment. "I kissed you." I start, the words heavy in the air. "I know," Aaron replies, his voice gentle. And I don't know what to do with that. I've never felt that way before. Aaron looks at me, his eyes searching. "Mark, it's okay to explore parts of yourself you've ignored. But you need to be honest with yourself and with Andrea. The honesty in his words, the lack of judgment, it's overwhelming. I nod, feeling the weight of his advice. The following days are a torment of guilt and confusion. Every moment with Andrea feels like a performance, my smiles forced, my laughter hollow. I try to act normal around her, but she senses something is off. She's always been perceptive, and now, her eyes search mine for answers I'm not ready to give. At dinner, the tension is palpable. Andrea's voice, usually so full of life, is gentle but firm as she confronts me. "Mark, what's going on? You've been distant." I stammer, trying to deflect, but the weight of my secret is too heavy. I decide to tell her part of the truth. I've been struggling with something personal, something I haven't been able to share. Andrea's expression shifts from concern to worry. "What is it, Mark? You can tell me anything," she says, her hand reaching out to touch mine. I take a deep breath, the words catching in my throat. "I've been feeling lost, Andrea. There's a part of me that's been longing for something different, something more." I pause, the confession hanging between us like a thick fog. "Different how?" Her voice is soft, but I can hear the undercurrent of fear. "It's not about you, Andrea. It's about me. I've been exploring parts of myself that I've ignored for too long." My voice cracks, the truth seeping out like a slow leak. Andrea's eyes fill with tears, her hand withdrawing from mine. Are you saying you're not happy with us? With me?" No, it's not that simple," I rush to clarify. "I love you, Andrea, but there's this other side of me that's been waking up. It's confusing, and I'm scared of what it means for us." She looks away, her face a mask of pain and confusion. Have you been with someone else?" Her question is direct, cutting through the ambiguity I've been hiding behind. I nod, the admission feeling like a betrayal. "Yes, but not in the way you might think. It's not about another woman. It's about exploring feelings I've never allowed myself to feel before." Andrea's breath hitches, and she stands abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "Mark, I need some time. I need to think about this." She walks out of the room, leaving me alone with the remnants of our dinner and the shattered pieces of our life together. The silence in the house is deafening. I sit there, the weight of my confession pressing down on me. I've opened a door, but I'm terrified of what lies beyond it. How will Andrea react once she processes this? Will she ever look at me the same way again? The next few days are a blur. Andrea keeps her distance, her usual warmth replaced by a cold civility. She's trying to understand, to process, but I can see the hurt in her eyes every time she looks at me. I find myself at work, staring at blueprints that no longer make sense. My mind is a storm of regret and confusion. I replay the kiss with Aaron, the touch, the intimacy. It wasn't just physical. It was an emotional connection I hadn't anticipated, one that has now thrown my entire life into disarray. I reach out to Aaron again, needing guidance, needing to understand what this means. We meet at the park again, the same bench by the lake where we last spoke. I told Andrea, I confess, my voice barely above a whisper. Aaron's face softens. How did she take it? She's hurt, confused. I think she's trying to understand, but it's hard for her. It's hard for me too. Aaron nods, his hand resting on my shoulder. Mark, this isn't just about exploring new feelings. It's about being true to yourself. And that might mean making some tough choices. I look at him, the man who's been both a catalyst and a mirror to my own soul. What if being true to myself means losing everything I've built with Andrea? That's the risk, Aaron says, his voice steady but filled with empathy. Sometimes, being true to yourself means facing the hardest truths, Mark. And it might mean redefining what your life looks like. The days stretch on, each one more agonizing than the last. Andrea's presence in the house is like a ghost of our former life, her movements silent, her eyes avoiding mine. I feel the chasm between us growing, filled with unspoken questions and unresolved pain. One evening, as the sun sets, casting a warm glow over our living room, I find Andrea sitting on the couch, her gaze lost in the distance. I sit beside her, the space between us feeling like miles. Andrea, I start, my voice barely a whisper. I've been unfaithful. Her face falls, her eyes filling with tears, but she doesn't look at me. But not in the way you might think. I continue, the words tasting like betrayal. I was with Aaron. The silence that follows is deafening. Andrea's face goes through a gamut of emotions. Shock, confusion, and then a deep, palpable hurt. With Aaron, she whispers, the question hanging in the air like a specter. I nod, unable to look at her, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't plan it, Andrea. It just happened. The room feels smaller, the air thicker with the weight of my confession. Andrea stands up, her movements mechanical. I need some time to think, Mark. Alone. Her voice is cold, distant, and it cuts through me like a knife. As she walks away, I'm left with the echo of her footsteps, the silence of our home, now a stark reminder of the fracture in our relationship. I sit there, the reality of my actions sinking in. I've not only betrayed Andrea, but also myself. By not confronting these feelings sooner, by not being honest about who I am. The days that follow are a blur of solitude and introspection. Andrea stays with her sister, giving us both space to think, to breathe. I spend my time at work, but my heart isn't in it. Every line I draw on a blueprint feels like a line drawn through my life, dividing it into before and after. I reach out to Aaron again, not for comfort, but for clarity. We meet at the park, the same bench by the lake where we've had so many pivotal conversations. I told her everything. I say, my voice hollow. Aaron looks at me, his expression one of understanding. And how do you feel now? Like I've lost everything. I admit the truth bitter on my tongue, but also like I've finally been honest with myself. Aaron nods, his hand squeezing mine in a gesture of support. Mark, honesty isn't just about revealing secrets. It's about living your truth every day. That's what you've started to do. His words resonate, but they also terrify me. What if my truth means losing Andrea forever? What if my truth means a life of solitude, or one where I'm not accepted for who I am? As I sit there, the lake's gentle lapping against the shore, I realize that this moment, this confession, isn't just about my relationship with Andrea. It's about my relationship with myself. It's about accepting parts of me I've denied for so long, about the fear of what that acceptance might cost. The days turn into weeks, and Andrea and I begin to talk again, cautiously, like two people learning to walk after a fall. She's hurt, deeply so, but there's a part of her that wants to understand, to find a way through this new reality. We meet for coffee, the atmosphere tense but necessary. I've been thinking, Mark, Andrea says, her voice steady but her eyes betraying her turmoil. I love you, but I need to know if you can still be the man I married, or if this part of you changes everything. I look at her, the woman I've shared my life with, and I feel the weight of her question. I don't know if I can be the same man, Andrea, but I want to be someone who's honest, who lives authentically. And the days following my confession are the hardest of my life. Andrea moves out temporarily, staying with her sister. We communicate through texts, her messages polite but distant. I dive into therapy trying to understand myself, my desires, and the impact of my actions. Months later, Andrea agrees to meet for coffee. She looks different, more introspective, but there's a resolve in her eyes. We talk, not just about what happened, but about our future. She admits she's hurt, deeply, but also acknowledges that our marriage was built on more than just fidelity. We need to redefine what our relationship means now, she says, her voice steady. I'm willing to try, Mark, but it will take time, and it will be different. We agree to counseling, to rebuild trust, to explore new boundaries. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's a start. As we leave the cafe, there's a tentative hope in the air, a possibility of a new chapter, not just for us, but for me, as I begin to understand and accept parts of myself I've long ignored. The therapy sessions are grueling, peeling back layers of my psyche I've kept hidden for years. Each session feels like a battle, confronting not just my actions with Aaron, but the deeper, more complex parts of my identity. I learn about bisexuality, about the fluidity of desire, and how it doesn't diminish my love for Andrea, but adds a layer of complexity to it. Andrea, for her part, is attending her own sessions. She's learning to cope with the betrayal, to understand that my exploration of my sexuality isn't a rejection of her, but a journey towards self-acceptance. Her pain is palpable, but so is her resilience. She's always been strong, and now she's using that strength to navigate this new terrain. Our meetings become more frequent. We sit in the same cafe, the one where we first discussed our future after the confession. It's become a neutral ground, a place where we can speak openly without the weight of our home's memories. I've been thinking a lot, Andrea starts one afternoon, her coffee cup cradled in her hands. About us, about what we've built. I love you, Mark, but I need to know if you can still be the man I married, or if this part of you changes everything. Her question hangs between us, heavy with the implications of my journey. I don't know if I can be the same man, Andrea. I reply, my voice low. But I want to be someone who's honest, who lives authentically. And I want to do that with you, if you'll have me. She nods, her eyes searching mine for sincerity. I need time, Mark. Time to understand, to heal, and to see if we can build something new from the ashes of what was. We agree to take it slow, to rebuild not just our relationship, but our understanding of each other. The counseling sessions become joint efforts, where we learn to communicate, to express our needs and fears without the fear of judgment. One evening, after a particularly intense session, we walk by the lake, the same one where Aaron and I had our pivotal conversations. The water is calm, reflecting the twilight sky. Andrea takes my hand, a gesture that feels both familiar and new. I've been talking to my therapist about forgiveness, she says, her voice soft. It's not about erasing what happened, but about moving forward. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying, Mark. Her words are like a balm to my soul, a sign that maybe, just maybe, we can find our way back to each other. I appreciate that, Andrea. And I'm here, working on myself, on us. As we walk, I feel the tentative hope growing stronger. It's not just about our relationship. It's about my relationship with myself. I'm learning to embrace all parts of who I am, to not compartmentalize my desires or my identity. The weeks turn into months, and slowly, we begin to redefine what our life together looks like. It's not the same as before. It's richer. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.